The TEFL Commute, Season 4, Episode 6, Songs, in which we finish our two-part exploration of music and songs in ELT.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Lindsay. How's your music going? All right?
Yeah, good.
Hey.
We're up. Are you ready for our second parter here?
I am, but I've got the bit that didn't make it into the first part. What do you get when you drop a piano on an army base?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, Sean. What do you get when you drop a piano on an army base?
A flat major.
Oh my God. Okay.
No. I've got one more. Why did the pianist keep banging his head against the keys?
I don't know. Why did the pianist keep banging his head against the keys, teacher?
He was playing by ear.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
I'm tempted to just ring off right now. Everybody, welcome to the TEFL Commute. This is not a show of bad puns and jokes, although it may sound like it at times. This is a show about for language teachers. It's not necessarily about language teaching, but the topic will come up. I'm your host, Lindsay Clanfield.
And I'm the other person. My name's Sean Wilden.
And this is the second parter of a two-parter that we are doing on music and song. This time we're looking at songs. Sean.
Yes, Lindsay. Songs.
Songs. Well, this episode is interesting. We've done a couple of things on Facebook, which we're going to begin the episode with, and we're going to end the episode with. So one of the things we did on Facebook to begin is I asked a bunch of teachers if people wanted to nominate their favorite English coursebook song. So songs that appeared in coursebook could be originally written for the coursebook or could be cover versions done in a coursebook. Sean, are there any that you would have expected to be there? Do you want to call some of these out?
Nobody called mine. My favorite was Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, which and the reason I liked it is because it was about the use of get, and it was a time when I was really interested in the lexical approach, and it was just like one of those things that's always stayed with me. I think there were. What I liked about the call out was the number of people that had actually written songs or, had contributed songs to primary course books rather than kind of the usual list of like Englishmen in New York and those kind of things. Do you want to
just name a couple of the usual list though, just so everybody knows? I mean, see if lots of people talked about different Beatles songs. She's Leaving Home, I think, is one. I remember Tom's Diner. I remember teaching Tom's Diner out of a course book.
Yeah.
Perfect for present continuous. Englishman in New York has been used in at least two books, I think. What other songs were there that are Girl from Ipanema, Our House, Madness, You're So Vain, somebody mentioned that they love teaching in a course book, and Three Little Birds.
There's another one that I just remember. Oops, excuse me, I dropped my pen. The other one that stuck out for me was the Lemon Tree, I think. Just Another Lemon Tree, which I think did the rounds as a present continuous song for a while.
Yes, that's right. It was ousted by Tom's Diner. I think there were other ones there. There was an Elton John song, but they couldn't remember what it was. I can't remember either. What a Wonderful World, I remember using from course.
Yeah. I think which course was it? There was obviously there was the really helpful comment by Hugh Gallo of "Kill Me Now" when we asked what the songs were. So typical.
What about the songs written for course books? I don't know that many because I never taught primary, but I know lots of primary teachers that could probably recite lyrics of things that were written especially to teach Have You Got or Clean Up Your Things and stuff like that.
I think there's a difference between kind of songs in primary course books and the songs in the more adult secondary orientated one, aren't they? Because you've got the ones in the latter are probably pop songs done a different way, while the ones in the primary books are authored especially for that book. So I think there's a great difference in the way they're used as well. One reflects almost a kind of total physical response kind of methodology, and one is using the song as a text. Do you not think?
Totally agree. And I think, of course, now it's you see. I think we're seeing less songs in the adult/secondary school books. I'm not sure. Maybe in the secondary ones still. Less, I think, in the adult ones. They've been replaced more by videos now, like video clips from the BBC or things like that. I think it's also because at the time, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, it wasn't that easy to get a copy of Tom's Diner. Before YouTube, before iTunes, before all of this, and everyone having things on cassette. Remember, the only copy I had of Tom's Diner was off of the course book cassette. But I think the ones written
did you take it home and listen to it, like relaxing after work, with a beer, listening to Tom's Diner on your?
No. But I think that people who write the songs, especially for books, deserve special merit, because they're not just thinking of writing tunes and words, but it's got to be sort of it's more like chants, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. I think they're definitely chants, and chants. And there's going to be much more of the students learning and repeating the song than I think that would take place, say, in an adult classroom. I think that's a very interesting skill to explore, and certainly one that's kind of outside what I've generally done in ELT. So yes, I think it's one I look at and think, yeah, impressive. Although sometimes when I have taught primary lessons and I had to teach those songs, I think, you really want me to do this? But
well, yeah. But they can be fun, especially the ones where the tune works just right. I know that Ken Wilson, another person in ELT who's written several course books, he always tells the story. He was one of the youngest authors published with his songs. I think he was only in his early 20s. One of his songs, Mr. Monday, I seem to recall, was one of those. But there are several other people who wrote songs for sort of secondary and adult books as well.
Yes, but that kind of leads us, I guess, to looking at. Did you list what your favourite song was? I just realised I'm not sure if I heard you say.
I couldn't think of one that was my favourite one. It was maybe Tom's Diner. I enjoyed doing Tom's Diner, and I liked doing What a Wonderful World with lower level classes. I remember those ones, but I don't really have a favourite one.
Obviously, we're recording this towards the end of 2016 now, and there's a certain time of year coming up, and I'd have to give special mention to Shakin' Stevens' "Merry Christmas Everyone" in my list of favourite songs done in the class, simply because in the school where I'd spent a lot of time working, somebody went to it was one of those songs that became like an epic. Every teacher added something to it, so there were laminated cards and there were cut up lyrics. It became the grand Christmas lesson, and it's kind of it was obviously so grand it stayed in my head after all this time of very first coming across it. So I'm going to get a mention to that in there. Now, I'll spin it the other way around. Do you have a word? I can tell you what song I absolutely loathe in the course book. And that is the first time I ever saw your face. And there's no disrespect to Cutting Edge, but it's in Cutting Edge, or was in Cutting Edge. And the reason I dislike it is it's just the most appalling cover version, which we'll get to in a bit. But also, it was used in a CELTA teaching point, when you give the trainee teachers something to teach. I heard it every 4 weeks. I heard the song murdered badly. So the song's been murdered badly, and of course the trainee teacher doesn't know what to do with the song, so they murder it.
Mine was, I can't remember if it was in Inside Out or in Cutting Edge. There's a couple of songs that I never liked doing. One is "And Then He Kissed Me."
Oh, yeah,
The other one was "It's My Party and I'll Cry If I Want To."
Well, I actually don't like that song as a song.
No, I don't like either of those songs.
So I'm thinking of worse songs. When I was obviously when we were researching for an episode, I came across this blog post and it really made me laugh. And this person the blog post, which of course we'll link, is Pete the Swede's Truth Forum, and he lists 5 worst types of ESL classroom songs. And so his categories, I wonder if you can guess what's in them. So his first category is he says that all these songs fall into 5 categories. So his first category is the chipmunk.
Oh, you mean like the cover version is like
Yeah. It's sung at
that was really popular for a while. That kind of chipmunky singing.
Yeah,
oh, God, yeah,
especially in kids' books, I guess. But it's kind of the adult voice which has been put on helium and taken to a higher pitch. So that's
okay.
one. His second category is the creepy.
The creepy. What's the creepy?
So he says, the creepy are usually created exclusively for younger children, despite their unsettling nature, are often popular in the classroom. They're a song that would fit comfortably into any horror film soundtrack, particularly if they feature clowns.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. So the creepy is another one.
The comedy.
Like a specifically written song for comedy?
Yeah, and so it's a song which is kind of like a comedy song, gives you a fit of giggles. Again, aimed at young learners. Number 4.
I was like, oh, no, I've lost my keys. Yeah. Oh, no, I've lost my pen.
Are you a secret course book songwriter? The fourth category is the ballad. Oh yeah, and I mean, how many songs are ballads in course books? I guess because they're slow.
Yeah,
you can hear the lyrics okay, and whatever. And the last one probably links us to the next part that we want to talk about. Actually, the shameless ripoff.
So is this like a cover version, or it's like changing the words slightly?
A bit of both. It's mainly the cover version, because of course there is a reason why they can't use the real version of the song. And I just thought it's quite amusing that, if you start thinking about all the course book songs, you can actually get them quite easily into those categories.
As a course book author, sometimes people have asked me, why do you have in this book, a cover version which is so awful of this song and that song, or why don't you have the originals? It's so easy now. And one of the reasons, also a reason why I think there are less songs now being put into books, is the copyright issue. Apparently, I was told by my editors on one of the first books I wrote that to get a song into a ELT course book, a real song, like, okay, so whatever, a Beatles song or a Kylie Minogue song or something like that you need to negotiate. There were 3 copyright things you need to negotiate. The first is you need to get copyright for the lyrics. So if you use the lyrics without the song at all, just putting the lyrics on the page, anything over 1 or 2 lines of lyrics, you need to get the copyright of that. That could be held by one person. Maybe not the singer, maybe the songwriter or the company. The second copyright that you needed to get was the tune. So the tune was also separately copyrighted. So if you wanted to have the song and play the song, have someone else play the song, you still had to pay for copyright to use that tune and the lyrics. Yeah. And then the third one, which was the most expensive, was if you wanted the lyrics, the tune, and sung by the original artist. And the combination of all those 3 for a book that's going to be published in many countries became prohibitive. Like, you would blow your whole budget for the whole book on just including 1 or 2 songs.
Is that why there are a lot of older songs in course books as well? Because the copyright laxed a little bit. Yeah,
they are. But for example, lots of the copyright stuff for the Beatles was held by Michael Jackson's estate.
That's true. Yeah,
quite, that's held on to it and being quite ruthless with following that up. So it's not just the age of it. Although very old songs, I presume, like Gershwin or things like that, I suppose you would maybe be able to get easier. But that's the reason for it, and that's why they had lots of lots cover versions by sort of bands that would cover these. I think sometimes there's been an assumption now that teachers will be more easily able to get the original song. So I know there's been conversations where people have said, do we need to put the music or the song in there? Just put a worksheet or an idea on how to use the song, and then the teacher can find the song themselves on YouTube or wherever, or buy it on iTunes or something and use it there. So,
but then it's interesting because there was copyright. There is this misnomer about it's on YouTube. So then you get into actual, since we're going to talk about copyright, displaying YouTube in a classroom. There's issues there. And then people take the YouTube video offline. So it is, which again is against the terms and conditions. So it is there. But I would actually just go back to not the copyright thing. Go back to something else you said. You earlier in the conversation, you said that maybe there are there are fewer course book songs now because we've moved into video and because they're more widely available. But doesn't it actually mean there should be perhaps more teaching of course book songs? Because in fact you can now access them. So therefore, shouldn't we be teaching the adults, teaching adults and children about songs so they can access them themselves?
Interesting. I mean, and lots of the talks that I've been in with different publishers and things like that, talking about what's coming up, what's new, what, and looking at new books that are coming out. Songs have not really appeared on the radar at all. Everything has been about content from other sources, but not songs. And usually it's video. So, for example, getting the TED Talk videos into a course book, or National Geographic, or getting Discovery Channel, or getting BBC. Lots of these media companies have opened up their libraries and license out their libraries. And I think that's where everyone is going right now. We don't have, for example, EMI or Warner Music opening up their library and saying, hey guys, any publishers want to start using this? Perhaps because they're figuring out other ways of monetizing it. I think so these big media companies are looking at new ways of monetizing old content, and so have set up these big content libraries which they license out to different people, including course book publishers. So
interesting. It's an interesting put it that way, because I sometimes think that when you have these meetings about course books, there is this idea that sometimes the publishers want to move on. They look at the next thing, so they think, oh well, video is now ubiquitous. Maybe we can start using video. And they, songs are seen as kind of the old thing, and and they move on and forget there's still value in the thing that went before it. I certainly work in the technology sphere. That's what often happens with them.
Sounds like a good topic for an essay. Are songs still sexy? Discuss.
Yes. You know what?
Speaking of songs, before we go on to anything more on songs, shall we just take a little wee breather here and hear the Angels, hear their song?
Oh, go on then.
Teachers make more minute-by-minute decisions than brain surgeons, and that's why you're going home so exhausted each day. Dr. Tina Bugren.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to another round of TEFL Fights, in which our two competitors duke it out to decide who's right and who's wrong. So what are the Queensberry rules? Well, each fighter will have 1 minute to argue their case and do some serious damage to their competitor. In round 2, they'll have the chance to follow up and land the knockout blow, persuading the judge, that's me, that they've managed to win. In this bout, our brave pugilists will be sparring over this topic. Songs should not be used in class with adults. So going first and arguing for the topic, it's Lindsay. Seconds out, let's go.
Okay, so I'm arguing in favor of the motion that songs should not be used in class with adults. All right, now I'm not going to say that I'm against songs, but I'm going to say that songs are better left for independent study and not done in class. Why? A few reasons. First, your favorite song that you will, as a teacher, you will probably be the one bringing the song in. So if you bring in a song that you like, invariably one or another student is going to scorn it. They're going to say, oh, this is crap. And that hurts. That really hurts when someone criticizes your music taste. So what are you going to do? Also, if you get students to choose the music, so if your answer is, well, I'll get them to choose the music, then they are facing the potentially damaging situation that I just outlined. When someone says, who chose this song? That sucks. Also, students choosing the music, they'll choose something these days. They'll choose something which is either linguistically unsuitable, has hardly any words, or is just too hard, and you just don't know what to do and where to begin with it. Secondly, songs are not always ideal models for language study in class. Again, I'm saying in class. Teacher takes way too long to explain the vocabulary. The ROI, return on investment, is just not good enough. Also, the songs that do work have been done a million times. How many times can you do Our House by Madness? I've done it so many times, I don't want to do it anymore. Also, songs in class can be considered like you're kind of skiving off. It's like a Friday afternoon activity. So students don't really think of it as work. Therefore, when you bring out a song and say, let's do a song in class, they respect you a little bit less. Okay?
And that's time. Okay, thank you, Lindsay. And now, Sean, it's over to you.
Right then, let's win another fight. I'll begin with the opening words from the resource book Music and Song by Murphy. There is no human society without its poetry. There is no human society without its music. And when we put them together, they constitute a powerful force for both cultural cohesion and identity, as well as for individual fulfillment. What other argument do I need when we want to talk about songs in the classroom? We want classes to be cohesive. We want people to talk about songs. We want them to share songs. This builds cohesion. Identity. There is so much written and spoken about the use of identity in language teaching, and songs form an integral part of identity, both for language teaching and within culture, which is also important in the classroom. Finally, individual fulfillment. This is motivation, it's challenge, it's learning stuff. Individual fulfillment always comes out of using songs in the classroom. Think about the way we interact with songs in real life. We listen, we sing, we comprehend, we memorize, we talk about them, we share them, we review them. We are surrounded by songs in every aspect of our life, in a cafe, when we go shopping, at sports events. So why should the ELT classroom be any different? Having the real-world hook of a song can make learning more immediate. The heavily scripted dialogues that you find in course books don't always exactly motivate students. They don't see the purpose of the language in them. But in a song, we get motivation. Students get lost in the song and they forget that they're learning.
And that's time up for you too, Sean. Thank you. Okay, now it's time for round 2. So, Lindsay, back over to you.
Okay, with my 30 seconds, I'm going to say Sean is living in a very nice teacher-trainer, TEFL conference world where all of these things happen. I'm talking about the real world, okay? In the real world, sometimes songs have a long instrumental part. So when you're re-listening again, you're listening through that long instrumental or that long guitar guitar solo, and people are saying, well, what are we doing here in class? We're losing this time. So you have to sit through that all over again to listen to the key parts of the words that you want to focus on. Again, I'm not arguing that songs aren't great and good for humans and good for culture and everything like that, but you're putting something nice under a microscope when you're doing it in class and studying the language, and you're sucking the joy out of it little by little. Let the students listen to songs, let them listen to their own, listen on their own, talk about them outside of class, talking about them inside of class, but don't put them for language study, specifically in language class.
And Sean, it's over to you.
I might live in an idealised world, but Lindsay clearly lives in a world without a fast-forward button. Who says they'll have to listen to all those long instrumentals and that? They can use the pieces of the text. I believe that our job in the classroom is to help students in the real world. So why not look at songs? We look at authentic text. We look at video, as we've already talked about. So why not use songs as an aspect of them? He talks about the people not liking the song you bring in. That's the same with any material we use in the classroom. We don't have homogeneous classes. We have people who have different needs and interests. So that's a really mute point. I also think that letting the students choose songs to bring songs in gives them, shows interest, allows them to teach students to teach each other and develop that interest. And I think once you've got it, songs lead to good classroom dynamics. They lead to good classroom atmospheres, and therefore that in turn leads to good learning. And that's all I have to say about it, really.
So we've heard some great arguments from both of our combatants, and it's time now for me to make my final decision as to who has the eye of the tiger and who's been left spread-eagled on the canvas. And while I'll agree that there are some cheesy and pointless songs out there, surely there's nothing better than imposing your music taste on your students, right? So the winner and reigning champion is Sean.
Yeah, 2-0, 2-0,
Oh,
2-0.
God. Well, to be fair, This was really hard for me because, for the sake of argument, I took the harder argument.
Well, you didn't actually take the harder argument. I gave you the harder argument as the previous winner.
I was given the harder argument. I was given the harder argument.
You did, and and it showed, to be honest. I mean, your argument was full of holes.
There was a reach there. Although some of those things I do maintain. And having an 11-year-old girl say, "What is this? This is awful," really hurts. That hurts.
I was going to ask if there was actually that was personal experience with
it. But I'm still bruised.
It's true, and I think that's a good flipping it the other way. That is often the flip side of that is taking a song you think the students will like, and you get all these teenagers going, "What the hell are you doing?" I do think there was a lot of truth in your argument. I do think we do songs to death in the classroom, and that's something we've got to be wary of, playing something 100 million times just so they can get it.
Oh, that's nice. We're making nice now after our fight.
Well, I like that. We do need to continue with the episode, and I don't want you to feel too down that you're now 2-0 down in fights.
Oh my gosh, someone else is going to have to take up my mantle here. Okay, speaking of song, we were talking about songs used in class. Let's hear from someone we haven't heard from for a while. I think it's time for a Carrie's Corner on songs.
You may or you may not know that I'm Welsh, and you may or you may not know that Wales is considered the land of song. In fact, if you Google land of song, you will automatically get links to Wales. Now, this is kind of slightly problematic for me because I have a confession. Yes, I'm Welsh, and no, I can't sing. I can't sing for toffee. I can't hold a tune in my head, and I tell you, I even have to mouth the words to Happy Birthday. I get so embarrassed singing in public. That doesn't mean, of course, that I don't sing loudly in the car when I'm on my own, or in the shower if I think there's no one listening. But otherwise, kind of songs, or singing at least, is really a cause of some embarrassment for me. I guess there may be some other Welsh people out there who share the suffering of the same stigma. And I think this fact that I just don't have a memory for music or any ability whatsoever to reproduce it might make me more of a victim or possibly a perpetrator of the mondegreen, otherwise known as the misheard lyric. Don't know if you've ever heard of mondegreens. Apparently the term was coined by a writer, Sylvia Wright, who she herself misheard the line in a poem about the slaughter of a knight and his lady mondegreen. But of course, years later, she discovered that it wasn't a lady mondegreen at all, but the fact that the knight's dead body had been laid upon a green. So she used mondegreen to coin this term for all misheard lyrics. Now, one of my favourite misheard lyrics comes from the 90s, and it's a song that I would love to dance to and would sing along quite happily about a grim poodle basher. I had no idea why that would be the lyric in the song, but I was absolutely convinced that that's what I could hear and that's what I would sing, even when people pointed out to me that the actual lyric is a brimful of Asher. So I decided, actually just before making this corner, I thought I'd look that lyric up and see what exactly it meant. And in fact, it turns out that the whole song is dedicated to an Indian singer in Bollywood who sang over 12,000 songs and was coined the Queen of Song. So I thought maybe that was actually quite a fitting mondegreen for this episode. So anyway, that's my favourite mondegreen. Do you have any favourites? Maybe you can write in and share them with us.
It's always nice to have her voice and her corner in an episode. It's good, isn't it? No, well, actually, just before we get to the end, we've hinted. Just as we're recording the episode, I'm thinking, we've talked a lot about using songs in the classroom. So Lindsay, do you have a particular favourite way of using a song in the classroom? I know I'm putting you on the spot a bit there. But
you are putting me on the spot.
I mean, it's like because we talk about gap fills.
I think I'm going to save my favorite way for the end of podcast activity. I might save it for the end of podcast activity. Okay. How about that? Make sure everyone listens to the end. The activity at the end will be one of my favorite ways of using a song in class. Fair
enough. Sorry for putting this part. I just think there's one thing we actually haven't covered is all the different ways that we can use songs in it. Mine is actually is changing the lyrics, I think. And so the students have to hear the different lyrics. I think that's what
that's
I do.
True. So I do like singing a song with students. I do like singing. Yeah.
Oh, do you?
I like singing songs with students. With adult beginners, there's nothing more satisfying.
That's interesting because I don't like the sound of my voice when I sing, so that's probably.
No, but the key is to play the song as you sing along with the song, like sing along with it, and then slowly reduce the volume. And so then you just hear the singing. Very nice.
So I guess it's using drilling techniques. So anyway, I was talking about changing the lyrics of songs as my favourite activity, which I think possibly leads you to your little song title.
Yes. Yeah? Well, we're bookending this podcast with some things that we did on Facebook. Now, we started by asking teachers what songs from course books or from courses that they like to use and what when they didn't like to use. But what became a lot more fun was our second challenge, which was we asked teachers to take a song title and change the title slightly so it became more English language teaching like. Okay, so I don't want to give an example because I don't want to give it away. But so this was taking a title and then changing it slightly so it kind of linked into ELT in one way or another. Now, that post of mine got 156 responses at the time of recording. So we wanted to choose some of the best ones, and we're going to do this as a kind of top of the pops thing. What do you think, Sean?
I think that's a good idea. So we should point out that, as you said, there were so many of them that we had a little voting committee between the TEFL Commute team, and these are the ones that we all thought were, well, hilarious, I guess.
But to be fair, lots of them were very, very funny. It was very hard.
We could
not count to 10. I think we're at 13.
We're at 13,
go in true Top of the Pops form. We're going to each say the name and the artist of the song, and at the end we'll thank some of the people who submitted these. Okay, so ready, Sean?
Off you go then, Lindsay.
The first one that we've got here is "Clill Crazy After All These Years" by Paul Simon.
And that would be followed up by "Girlfriend in a Comma" by the Smiths.
The next one, great bit of wordplay here, "Total Ellipsis of the Heart" by Bonnie Tyler.
And continuing with that wordplay, it's "Walk Like an Elysian" by the Bangles.
Another favourite of mine here, "The Final Countdown" by Europe.
Another favourite of yours because you thought of that one. Continuing on the countdown, "Baby, You Can Drive My Schwa" by the Beatles.
"You Can Teach This" by MC Hammer.
And followed by "Under the Boardwalk" by the Drifters. Apologise for the singing.
Now, the next one, I don't know the original artist. I'm sure someone could tell us, but this one was a favourite of ours. Is "How Much Is That Dog Me in the Window?"
Continuing the countdown then, we've got "Simply the Nest" by Tina Turner.
Or it could be "Simply the Nest."
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, it works both ways, isn't it? Yeah,
it does. Better than all the nests. Okay, the next one, another one that made us all laugh, is "Give PPPs a Chance" by John Lennon.
Yes, definitely a song for this day and age. Perhaps we all need the next one as well, which is a bit of lexical healing by Marvin Gaye.
And closing off our list is "Better the TEFL You Know" by Kylie Minogue.
And are we going to mention the one that we didn't put in but we all really loved, and we didn't put it in because it was about a person rather than something specifically LT?
Yes, and that was Harmer Chameleon by Culture Club. Harmer Chameleon. So thank you to everybody on Facebook who submitted these. That would include just some of the people. There were lots of you. I'm just going to name some of them. Julian Jahamper, Marcos Benavides, Will Roscoe, Chris Madden, James Taylor, Karina Shiroma, Jessica McKay, Paul Davies, David Dodgson, Jeremy Taylor, Curtis Emday, Joanne Silverberg, Sue Lyon-Jones, Charles Hadfield, and many, many more who also, sorry I couldn't name everyone with over 100 posts. It got really hard, but thank you so much. We really enjoyed wasting a whole day following those. Thanks, everyone.
Yes. How when the podcast takes over your life, that was one of those examples. We done?
Yeah, I think we are done.
Are you laughing at your own, or are you laughing at the other ones?
The other ones. I'm laughing at the Simply the Nest. I keep having that better than all the nests.
The more I can't. Every time I look at the list, I keep changing my mind. It's like I still think lexical healing is genius, but then I kind of total ellipsis of the heart is fabulous, and every time I can't decide.
Yeah.
I really can't decide. Oh well, Lindsay, this is the end of the season, isn't it? Because it's kind of season break time now.
Another season down. Another season.
Yeah.
So all our listeners, we do every season of TEFL Commute is around 6 episodes. We're coming to the end of 2016, so this will be the last episode of this year. But we aim to be back with another season of fun and interesting episodes, which are not about language teaching, but the subject seems to come up more and more. So have a good end of the year holidays. Happy New Year. This is goodbye from Lindsay.
Oh, that was a bit, yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. See you in 2017, and enjoy the break, Lindsay. I'll see you in the new year. Bye, all.
Bye. Bye, Sean. Bye, everyone.
As your commute is coming to an end, here's an activity you can take into class. Find the lyrics of a song that tells a story. Paste them into a Word document, but make the text look more like a paragraph than lyrics. Select a few words and replace them with translations in the student's language. Alternatively, replace some keywords with blanks and provide definitions. Give the text to the student, but don't tell them it's a song. Ask them to either find the words and translate them back to English, or complete the gaps with the correct words for the definitions. When they've finished, tell them that this is a song. Play the song and let them check their answers. Keeping the song bit secret until the end makes for a pleasant surprise and provides a real reason to listen. You can find the instructions for these activities at our website, www.teflcommute.com. You've been listening to the TEFL Commute, an original podcast produced and presented by Lindsay Clanfield, Sean Wilden and James Taylor. Don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing to us on iTunes and by visiting us at www.teflcommute.com.